Hello guys, welcome to my video. I don't really watch movies that much. I know it sounds a little crazy. So I asked a friend of mine to give me a bunch of recommendations of a bunch of different types of movies that we could watch, and I've been watching about one movie every day, and it's been a pretty fun experiment. So to change things up from me constantly shitting on everything I talk about, I wanted to talk about some movies I actually really liked. But there are some movies in here that I didn't like very much, and you'll find out. So this is 10 movies in 10 minutes. Woo! So this is What Have They Done to Your Daughters? Don't be fooled by it being in Italian. This movie is like a police drama that has a bunch of different characters. It covers a very, very touchy subject that a couple of these movies try to cover, which is very bad things happening to women, we'll put it that way. And it's this very like thrilling, engaging police drama where we follow a bunch of different characters. The action is always very good, the tension is kept very well, and there's actually a lot of like detective scenes, which I really liked, because I feel like a lot of times in these police movies, things just kind of happen with no reason. And the soundtrack's amazing. I would say that this movie is very high on my list. It's the first like Italian crime drama movie I watched, and it was very good. Very good. This is Paprika. This is the first anime movie I've watched in a very, very long time. This is a movie about like dreams and reality and how dreams interact with reality and how your dreams affect who and how you interact with reality. There's, again, touchy subjects involving a lot of things like trauma and how we process and move on from that. If you are really who you are, like what part of you is you. The director of this, Satoshi Kon, he really likes to fuck with reality a lot in his stuff, which we'll get to with his other movie on this list. I feel like the first half of this movie was great, and I was really engaged, but as we got closer and closer to the ending, a trend that kind of felt like happened with a lot of these anime movies is they don't know how to end their movies, and so because of the ending, I feel like it should have ended like 20 minutes earlier roundabout, and that it was kind of like tacked on. So in terms of like visuals and animation, I would watch it again, but the story kind of left me bummed out, so I'm gonna put it as just okay. It's not bad though. Alien. This movie was epic. I really, really liked this movie. I've never seen it before. I'd never seen Alien ever, or Aliens, but I knew a lot about it because a lot of people talk about it and a lot of people reference it, and I was blown away at how great this movie actually was. Not like specifically from a horror aspect, because I'm very weird when it comes to horror. I don't normally get scared by things, even though I flinch at everything. I'm not actually like scared by it, it's just like reactions and stuff. But this movie had some amazing set design and absolutely insane like shots of just technology and space, and the way that they capture space is so different to everything else I've seen that it makes me want to watch the sequel a lot, because a lot of people talk about the sequel being really good, and I haven't seen it. This is Perfect Blue. I'll be honest, I'd been told by a lot of people to watch this movie, and I kind of had it on a list of like, hey, I should watch this movie because I've, heard a lot about it. I've heard a lot of great things about it. I'll probably have to make a follow-up video to fully like articulate my thoughts on it, because I did not like this movie at all for a lot of reasons. And I'm just gonna like bookend this with like, this movie to me tried to say a lot, but didn't really accomplish that much, and I don't know if that's like because I'm watching it in 2023, so I'm in the realm where a lot of these topics, because this movie has a lot of themes of like stalking and obsession and idol culture, and what it's like to be idoled in that whole realm of stuff. It also kind of overlaps into things that are more relevant, like stan culture and stuff nowadays, but I feel like this movie was just not as ahead of its time as a lot of people feel, and I think this movie's actually really bad. This is Fear Over the City. This is another Italian movie. My friend likes Italian movies, that's why there's so many on this list, and it was pretty good. But out of all the Italian movies I've watched so far, I wouldn't say it was bad, but it's like just okay. It's about a detective crime guy who's got a very charismatic personality. This guy who is on the poster here, he's very charismatic in like every role he plays, and he plays like these kind of smug characters that like are very good at their job, and kind of like action movie hero star, but like Italian detective, and it's very endearing type of character, charming, kind of like I compared him to like Jack Sparrow sort of in a way, which is a weird comparison, I know, but I think it fits. There's a lot of insane action scenes in this movie. I'm not gonna spoil it, but there's one involving like a train that's like absolutely insane, and I still can't believe they actually did that. These movies go above and beyond when it comes to stunt work, so you can't shit on these people for not giving it their all when it comes to any of these movies, so I think it's pretty good. But I don't think I would watch it ever again. Ghost in the Shell. I didn't like this one either. This is another sort of movie that's been like heralded a lot, and I will say the animation was great. I really like the animation and the presentation, the visuals, but the story felt like it was going one way for like the entire first half of the movie. I feel like there's a lot of concepts in this world that it didn't explain at all, and I still have no fucking clue how they function or what the point of this movie even was. Maybe I'm stupid, maybe I'm like my media literacy is like super dumb, and I need everything to be explained to me, but by the whole like end of the movie, I was questioning, what the fuck, like, we're not gonna end right where it feels like a whole nother movie's gonna start, right? And then it does, and I was like, fuck you. I hated it. In terms of animation, there were some great scenes. There's a fight scene with a tank that's really good, and I really liked it. And I liked a lot of the characters. I thought they were endearing, but it's just like, this movie, I feel like even after watching it, I feel like I didn't actually see it. I feel like nothing happened, really. Maybe I missed something. I don't know what it is about these super popular anime movies and me not liking them as much as everyone else. Fantastic Mr. Fox was great, and my friend had been recommending this to me for a long time. I'd just never seen it. This movie was incredibly charming, incredibly quotable and memorable, and on top of everything, the presentation and storytelling was really good. There's a certain type of like give and take that every dialogue has to it, and a lot of the characters are just so memorable and distinct. Like Christopherson is just this gem of a character, and so is Ash. Like these two's chemistry, even though they don't really have that many scenes together, if you really think about the whole movie and the runtime, their dynamic is so funny, and every scene they're in, I'm just losing my shit at how funny it is, and also how emotional the story can be. It can handle serious moments, and it can have really funny moments, in kind of the ways that people would describe like Marvel movies, but then this movie's like an actually good movie. So I really liked it, and also I think that the sort of way this movie wraps up, while not the best ending to an animated movie, I think in this stint of all these movies, I really appreciate the ending for just like wrapping things up in a nice way and having like an 8 out of 10 ending for a 10 out of 10 movie. I think that's sometimes what you gotta settle with. This is called The Professional, and this was a really good Italian action movie. I really like this one. I feel like the plot in this one was a lot more orchestrated and thought out. This is the same actor from this one playing the main character, and he kind of plays the same type of character every time. But in this movie, he's a secret agent who was sold out by his government, and then it's basically coming back to like finish the job he was originally assigned to, but the government doesn't want to kill him anymore. The person they wanted him to assassinate is now like kind of buddy-buddy with them, and the situation's changed, and he's mad at his government, and he's just on his own, like one-man armying the entire society against him, and it's very engaging. And a lot of the things he does in the movie are incredibly smart and intelligent, and he's just a very, again, charismatic character who you want to see win, and he does a lot of incredibly smart shit. It is great. This movie feels really thought out, and it makes me really appreciate when these like very cool set pieces of action are also like, you're not like questioning like, oh, this person wanted to have like a train scene in their movie randomly, so they invented this like plot to like spawn around it. It's like, oh, the character needed us to orchestrate this specific situation, that's why we're doing this. It's not because the director wanted to see this like epic action scene, it's because the character kind of put everything in this place. You know, it's very nice, it's serendipitous. I really like this movie. Out of all the Italian movies, I think this one's probably my favorite. Right next to What Have They Done to Your Daughters, these two are like right next to each other. Definitely would watch them again. Brazil, out of all of these movies, I'm gonna put in would watch again, but my reasoning is that this movie's very confusing. The ending of this movie kind of recontextualizes a lot of things for me, and it's one of those like mindfuck endings. I mean, if you're a Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach fan, you know that there's one ending called the Brazil ending. Yeah, that's a reference to this movie. This movie has a lot going on, and until it got to the ending, it didn't really make any sense to me, and then I saw the ending, and it made me appreciate the movie a lot more than I was for the rest of it. The set design in this movie is great. The world building is really intricate and interesting, and I really appreciate the fact that it's like so committed to having this like sci-fi take on reality where everything in this movie that's technologically advanced feels passive-aggressive, and I love that kind of energy. It feels like this movie was written by a disgruntled salaryman, which apparently, as I learned a little bit more about it, might have been the case, and it was just really funny. There's a lot of like scenes that are so funny. There's a scene involving a desk being shared that is possibly one of my favorite forms of like physical comedy in any movie ever. It has a main character who's very different from a lot of main characters, where he kind of is his own worst enemy at times. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate it just being so different. Now, because it's so different, it feels really weird and hard to like catalog and rank amongst all these other movies, but it's definitely a movie I would want to watch again, if not for anything else, just to see if it makes me appreciate something new about the movie. Because, like I said, this movie ends in a way that makes you question everything that happened earlier in the movie, which is both a blessing and a curse, because then you watch the movie again and it's like, okay, this makes the movie better or it makes the movie a lot worse. In Brazil's case, I think it got away with being better. Metropolis. This movie is the last movie made by the Akira team, the people who made that movie, which is widely regarded as like the best anime movie of all time, like one of the best pieces of anime ever. And this movie, for the first half of it, I was really not feeling it. I'll be honest. It was interesting, it was intriguing, but the animation was really all over the place. There were a lot of things that looked really janky, and it was surprising because I was sitting here thinking, these are the people who made Akira. And like Akira had some like boring scenes in it, yeah, but like everything was so visually beautiful and distinct. This movie made use of a lot of like early CG, and I'll be honest, in 2000s, the CG blending with 2D wasn't entirely there yet, but this movie's final act, the movie's second half, all these characters we've been setting up in this entire like spy thriller kind of like, I don't even know how to describe it. It was a detective movie at first, and then it transitioned into a story about an uprising and a rebellion, and then a very like tense sort of like atmosphere with a bunch of different powerful figures in a political scheme, and then it transitioned into a more open question about humanity and what does it mean to be human. And I know that sounds like a bunch of word jargon, because it kind of is, because this movie is very all over the place. Miraculously, this movie probably has my favorite ending to any animated movie I've seen in anything in a very, very, very long time. If this movie were to be ranked, I would probably rank the first half as like 7 out of 10, I'd rank the second half at like 9 out of 10, but I'd rank the ending as like 10 out of 10 perfect. If not for anything else, if this movie was just the final like 10 minutes, I would still rank this as my favorite thing I have seen, not just this year, but also in terms of the past like 5 years. Maybe even more than that. Maybe I'd even go more than that. Very good movie, and I highly recommend anyone who's interested in Akira to watch this, because this was very good, and I had no idea it existed before this year. So I thank my friend immensely for showing me these movies, and this has been 10 movies in around about 10 minutes. Yippee!